Good afternoon. What a beautiful day, right? Welcome to our October Islip Town of Islip board meeting. And this month we are going to be celebrating Italian heritage. And we're going to be recognizing three outstanding people from the town of Islip of Italian descent who have certainly improved the quality of life to their fellow neighbors and residents and given back to our communities. So before we go to that, I would like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I think I would ask, where is he? Anthony Prudenti. He stepped out. But I see another person who sounds like they have a very... Oh, I know. Never mind. You lost your opportunity, Tony. I'm going to ask Dominic, say your last name so I don't mispronounce it, Mezza, who is going to be deployed in not too long a period of time to serve us again abroad. And we thank you for your service, and we would ask that you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And thank you, Dominic, and please come home safe. He's had quite a few tours of duty, but we need you here. Thank you. So our first Italian Heritage honoree this afternoon is Heather Hemberger-Poli. And I'd like to ask Councilwoman Mary Kate Mullen if she would please come forward and make that presentation. Kate?
Thank you, Supervisor. A native to the town of Islip and a member of the Ronkonkoma Rotary, Heather is partner, co-owner of Flanagan's Pub in Ronkonkoma, as well as the Harp and Hound in Islip, each of which host local donation drives and charitable events to help our neighbors in need. These include toy collections for distribution to local toy drives during the holidays, support of the annual Food for Hope Thanksgiving drive, Thanksgiving meals for local veterans, as well as others in need. Throughout the year, her businesses also host golf outings with proceeds donated to Sheila's Food Pantry and the FDNY firefighter Jesse Gerhard Memorial Fund. During the height of the pandemic, Heather and her colleagues dropped off food to local nurses as they navigated that most difficult time. Please join me in honoring and recognizing Heather Hemberger-Poli.
If the members of the town board would come forward. Thanks, Kate. Our next honoree is Dr. Christopher C. Rayo. Dr. Rayo is the Chief of Emergency Medicine for Catholic Health and Chairperson of Emergency Medicine at Good Samaritan Hospital, actually Good Samaritan University Hospital. He is the Chief Medical Officer for Progressive Emergency Physicians. And he is a husband to Jenny and dad to Colton and Alexa. Dr. Rayo has proven to be an invaluable asset to the town of Islip community. He is a knowledgeable health advocate for the residents of our community and has helped to develop treatments and protocols to assist thousands of patients access care at Catholic Health Emergency Departments. In 2020, Before the full weight of the pandemic bore down on our community, we were fortunate to have the insight and expertise that Dr. Rayo provided as we looked for medical guidance and prepared for the unknown. You know, he was part of a panel that we had with an infectious disease specialist, et cetera, in who knew that it was going to be 2 years. We convened a sort of an informative kind of presentation on best protocols, et cetera, for this, you know, short period of time that turned out to be 2 years, and we're still there. His knowledge helped protect many in our community, and his service on the front lines throughout provided the necessary leadership and steady hand for patients who were battling the illness. Please join me in recognizing Dr. Christopher Rayo and thank him for all of his service. Chris, if you would come forward. We have one more honoree. Unfortunately, Teresa was not able to be here, but I do want to mention Teresa Ferraro. Councilman O'Connor was the gentleman who nominated her, and we do want to acknowledge her accomplishments. She's an innovative business leader within our community, president of East West Industries, and you may have heard about them. They've been reported on in many of the business journals, et cetera. She, small business owner, certified woman-owned small business owner located right here in the town of Islip in Ronkonkoma. And she and the industry continues to define themselves as a leader in aircraft manufacturing, earning numerous accolades from Boeing, including the Boeing Performance Excellence Award and the Supplier of the Year Award. They have been engaged with the community too, with Girl Scouts and helping promote STEM initiatives for young girls and really giving back to the community. And I am sorry that she's not able to be here today, but please join me in recognizing Teresa Ferraro. So we want to thank all of our honorees here today for Italian Heritage Awards, and thank you again for all you've done for our community. So if you've passed Town Hall recently at night, you saw that the cupola is aglow in pink and can be spotted from any, and you'll see many, many countless pink ribbons, bows, flags, and signage around shops and medical centers. And you'll know that in addition to Italian Heritage Month, October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And recently we joined with the town of Babylon for the kickoff of Pink by the Bay, which is a month-long effort to highlight the importance of breast cancer screenings, early detection, and prevention. Between both townships, hundreds of businesses and residences have been adorned in pink lights and ribbons to help raise that awareness. I want to thank Councilman Guadrone and Tax Receiver Andy Whitman, who were there for that kickoff over at Babylon Town Hall. In addition, our 3 breast cancer coalitions in the town of Islip, West Islip, Islip, and Bayshore Brentwood, continue to work tirelessly to provide the needed emotional support services to those who are in treatment for breast cancer and other related cancers. Alongside partners like Good Samaritan University Hospital and South Shore University Hospital, our neighboring communities and townships, we are once again proud to stand firm in the fight against breast cancer and urge you all to schedule your screenings. Early detection is the best prevention. With that, I would like to ask the town board to join me in recognizing one of our community's most devoted breast cancer advocates, and that's Lorraine Pace. Lorraine, why don't you come up while I finish this? Lorraine's story is nothing short of remarkable. In 1992, over 20 women from the same West Islip neighborhood were diagnosed with breast cancer, including Lorraine. She had no known risk factors, and the cause of her diagnosis was unknown. Spurred into action, Lorraine worked in conjunction with Good Samaritan Hospital to develop a survey for local residents in an attempt to pinpoint the correlation between cancer and environmental factors. Over 8,750 homes in West Islip were canvassed as part of the survey through her efforts, working alongside of Good Samaritan. The West Islip Chamber of Commerce and the West Islip Breast Cancer Coalition was then formed. In '93, thanks to the advocacy of the West Islip Breast Cancer Coalition, the National Cancer Institute began the Long Island Breast Cancer Study Project. As a result of Lorraine's efforts, the Breast Cancer Mapping Initiative was begun. Good Sam opened a breast health center, and similar initiatives have sprung up worldwide, with organizations in England, Russia, now looking to West Islip Breast Cancer Coalition for direction and guidance. Her contributions to raising awareness for breast cancer and calling these agencies to action has changed the conversation around breast cancer and has advanced efforts in the fight against the disease. So please join us in recognizing Lorraine Pace.
Could I say something? Real fast?
Huh?
Can I say something real fast? If it hadn't been for Angie Parker,
Don't even say that.
my
No, you
husband
can't.
sent me to her to help, and then she sent me to Good Samaritan Hospital. And thank you for my family and my friends, my brother, my daughter, my son, and now my daughter. So thank you. Thank you, Angie, but thank you. John Melly to you. You sent me to Good Sam. You're welcome.
All right, we have one more reminder. October serves to highlight National Disability Employment Awareness. NEDAM, or NDEAM, celebrates the contributions of workers with disabilities while increasing awareness and education on employment issues in the disabled community. Recently, Councilman Jim O'Connor, chairperson for our town's Disability Advisory Board, and Colleen Merlo, who's the CEO of the Association of Mental Health and Wellness in Ronkonkoma, we met to discuss the important role that people with disabilities play in a diverse and inclusive American workforce, and certainly that's the case here in the town of Islip. It can be viewed on our website at islipny.gov. And this year's theme for National Disability Employment Awareness Month is Disability, Part of the Equity Equation. Also a reminder to all that our very popular Autumn Apple Festival, Apple Fest, returns this Saturday, October 22nd at the Islip Grange in Sayville. So please come down with your family. There's so much going on: craft vendors, amusement rides, a petting zoo, pumpkin picking, pony rides, live entertainment, fresh apple desserts, and a scarecrow contest, and so much more. And the members of the Department of Parks, Cultural Affairs have been working so hard. They're so enthusiastic about providing a venue and an event for all in the community to enjoy. So again, for details, you can go to the website. And lastly, an update: work has begun on the Byron Lake Park renovation project. And once completed, Byron Lake will be an attraction and asset for all town of Islip residents for years to come. The old pool, which is over 55 years old, has just been removed, and we can't wait to provide the additional updates as the work continues. And anyone, especially those that live in the immediate area who may have questions, please feel free to go to the website. We have a dedicated link to the Byron Lake project with the timeline of what's happening. And if you have any specific questions, it's monitored daily, so someone will get right back to you. And with that, we will go to the agenda. Thank you. Okay, we will now commence with the official meeting. We have 5 scheduled public hearings today for the board's consideration, and I would like to ask the town clerk, Olga Murray, to please read the first hearing notice.
Thank you. Hearing number 1 today is to consider enacting local law number 3 of 2022, amending local law 3 of 1998, chapter 48G of the Town of Islip Code entitled Taxation Exemption for Person with Disabilities.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, motion.
Make a motion to close the hearing, approve the change.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Madam Clerk, if you would read the next hearing notice.
Yes, hearing number 2 today is to consider enacting local law 4 of 2022, amending local law 1025 of 1966, chapter 48 of the Town of Islip Code, titled Taxation, Partial Exemption for Senior Citizens.
And I know that is making a lot of our seniors happy that we're opting into that exemption. Are there any questions? Hearing none, motion.
Make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next hearing notice, please.
Hearing number 3 today is to consider enacting local law number 5 of 2022, amending local law 1025 of 1966, chapter 48 of the Town of Islip, entitled Taxation, Partial Exemption for Senior Citizens who have an ownership in a cooperative corporation.
Again, any questions? Hearing none, motion.
Motion to close the hearing, approve the resolution.
Thank you, Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guadron. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next hearing notice, Madam Clerk.
Hearing number 4 is to consider enacting local law number 6 of 2022 of the Town of Islip Code within Chapter 68, Article 13A, Use Districts, Regulations, Downtown Development District.
Any questions? Motion?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Madam Clerk, the 5th and final hearing?
Yes, today's last hearing is to consider the reapportionment of the Town of Islip Council Districts.
Thank you. We do have a speaker and someone who did sign up to speak on the public hearing, Lee Ann Bardes.
Good afternoon. My name is Leanne Barty. I live at 51 East Locust Street, Central Islip. That map that's before you is illegal. And if anyone up here considers himself a true resident and a true representative of those people, of the residents here, you will vote no. I understand your handpicked commission did exactly what you wanted, but the Voting Rights Act says that is illegal. It is just as simple. There is no earthly reason why, for the second time, Central Islip is the only hamlet divided into 3 out of only 4 possible districts. We have the population that has grown compared to every other area of Islip, except for Brentwood. We are big enough to have our own legislative district, yet, for some reason, the Republicans of Islip have decided that our vote should be diluted. Again, it's not right, it's not just, it will not stand, and I'm watching. I will publicize to whoever will listen that it's going to pass on a partisan vote because you all have no spine. Your 5 donors did you right, Angie, but that is not going to go away. I understand you handpicked them to do exactly this, but this is not right. The law makes it clear you cannot you cannot subtract areas just because they don't vote your way, just to make sure that you all hold power. It's illegal, it's gerrymandering, it's un-American, and it's really just quite disgusting.
Thank you. Just for the record, we had a very lengthy process. It was a bipartisan commission that was appointed and approved and met 9 times. They met in each of the council districts. It was advertised. People did attend some of the hearings, not all of them. The hearings, there were 4 hearings held to get the input from the public before any maps were drawn. There was a master and a consultant that was hired to make sure that we were following the letter of the law, and it is very, very specific in what you can and cannot do. And as far as some of the letter of the law, I'm going to ask our town attorney, our acting town attorney, if he would please spell out some of what took place there.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michael Walsh, the acting town attorney. The way that the maps were ultimately drawn was in compliance, I believe, with the order that was, it was ultimately reduced to an order by Judge Brown of the Eastern District of New York as a result of the Flores litigation. Anybody who followed that know there was extensive litigation. It went on for quite a significant amount of time, and what came out of the end result was the parameters that were set that resulted in the lines that were drawn not only prior to this map, but the one before that. There are very substantive rules that needed to be followed, specific populations that needed to have a district, and then we couldn't go more than 5%, I believe, was the difference from one district to another. I think it'll uphold any judicial scrutiny, and, you know, that's, I could probably have a 2-hour monologue on the Voting Rights Act and the Flores case, but I don't think anybody wants to hear all that. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. And we do want to thank those non-paid members of the community who volunteered to serve on the commission. Thank the residents who did come out to speak at the hearings. And ultimately, as I said, there were 4 meetings before the map was drawn, 1 in each district, to get input. Then there was a second set of hearings, 1 in each district, to share the results of the map, to then get further input, and then a final and 9th meeting when the commission convened to vote on the map, and the map was adopted unanimously. So with that in mind, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the proposed, or adopt the resolution as it's being offered.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, we have 3 in favor, 1 opposed. The motion carries. Thank you. And again, thank you to all those who participated, especially the public that came out. And I do believe that's it for the public hearings, Madam Clerk?
Yes, that's it,
Okay.
Madam Supervisor.
Thank you. All right, we will now move to the public portion. And before we begin, we do have a number of cards. Just to remind everyone, you have 3 minutes. And there has been a little bit of discussion over the past couple of months because we had elected to not televise. And again, understand that we as a town board are not required to televise town board meetings. We do. We are not required to have a public portion. We do. And we want to listen. We want to be transparent. So we've done all of this. But there was an incident that happened quite a number of months back where someone had come to speak on an issue, and then the following month came back and shared the fact that they had been the victim of harassment. It was on TV, their address, where they lived, the issue. So we thought perhaps it might be a more judicious a course to take to not televise the public portion. Everything else, obviously, the public portion was shared on the live stream, but not what was shown on the public access TV. And part of that was, I was under the impression, as most of us were, that it was a requirement that a speaker share their address. I have since learned that that is not a requirement, that if someone chooses to give their address, they certainly can, and the clerk has asked for that for the sake of appropriate and accurate record keeping, because we keep verbatim minutes, but it is not a requirement. So we will go back to broadcasting the meeting in its entirety, including the public portion. And I would just ask, when you're coming up, especially if it's a sensitive issue, perhaps you want to just share what hamlet you're from without specifically sharing your address. So with that, let us go to the public portion. Again, to remind everyone, you have 3 minutes. I'm going to ask you to please be respectful. And that's it. So our first speaker today is Jim Schlau.
Jim Slouk, I'll give my address, 415 Cliff Central Islip. You took the wind out of my sails with that because I feel like we're up here doing our civic duty and you were cheating us out of letting N Islip Town not to know what's going on behind the curtains. And about airing these meetings, I don't have a computer. And I don't have a smartphone. This is how I live. I like it this way, simple phone. Now, I want to bring up the fact that I'm doing my civic duty by coming here. I see a complete lack in civics. I do go to code enforcement personally sometimes. And I really don't blame the person for saying this to me, but let me just say that she said, you've been coming here for a long time. Why don't you just move? You know, she's right. Why don't I just move? But my income is low. I'd like to go to Levittown or maybe move out of state because it's the situation by me is untenable for somebody with my intellect, I believe. I'd like to give you these pictures to show you some things that are going on. Thank you, sir. The first one you'll see is another accident. That's 4 accidents on that corner this year because these streets are packed with cars. I remember saying to one bus driver who got in an accident, I walked up, I said, don't let them blame you. I've gone to the town about this 1,000 times. It's not your fault. There's no room to move. They should make them one-way streets now, okay? And Mr. Cross comes up here and speaks about taxes. You know, you got these houses packed to the gills with people, and I'm sure that they don't have lease agreements. You know, they're getting all these free services by the taxpayers, us, schools and everything else. Even when the Census Bureau comes around, I see them with their boards and I talk to them. The people, they don't answer the door. They don't want anybody to know how many people's living in these houses. You got rules here. I've got the, the codes. I know it's difficult. I talked to your code enforcement officers. This is an expensive layout, this code enforcement. I'm coming up with $1.5, $2 million, and that's probably conservative. Oh, yeah, and that house with the auto repair. That's code enforcement's been there 4 times. And there's anecdotal evidence that somebody lives in that house with the name O'Connor. I don't know if it's a relationship, but the scuttlebutt is going around that, maybe there's political favoritism going on. I don't know. Bye.
Thank you, Mrs. Flau. Okay. Next speaker, Andy Cross.
Andy Cross, Bay Shore, New York. Once again, I'm here about the NYS real property tax law line on my tax bill. When the tax went up a whopping 41%, you said it was because the price of housing went down. Now the price of housing has gone up, at least the past 3 years. Also with that, the tax has gone up. How is that possible? This year's moderate tax increase is 9%. How did this tax go up so much? And who do we blame for this? There's nobody to blame. This is taxation with no representation. The whole town board voted on this. As for a spray park in Casamento Park, what happened to the extra millions you over bonded for the cleanup? Where did that money go? It's no wonder the town has a great bond rating because we're their best customer. We need to stop bonding and putting our children's children and their children in debt. In the State of the Town speech, you said you were steadfast in your commitment to represent the interests of all residents. Is this what you do by editing out all the resident speeches at the town meetings? Or was this just another lie just to get votes? Last year at a board meeting, town board members and the superintendent of highways, or commissioner of highways, said they were going to do my whole neighborhood over with asphalt. I mean, across Bay Shore Road in West Islip, these guys have been done twice, and I think 3 times, but 2 I'll stop on. But they did the whole neighborhood. And then they did 1 block on our side of on our side of Bay Shore Road. So what that lady said that just came up here and said that it's not right that Central Islip is piecemealed by doing the roads in West Islip and not doing them in Bay Shore is exactly that. She said exactly everything I've been saying. And is there a morals clause to be a town board member? Or is it just a lie just to keep people quiet and get more votes?
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Next speaker, Patricia.
You just had stated about putting the meetings back on TV, publicized. I just wanted to reiterate, September of 2021, online viewing, there were 241. February of 2022, there were 150 views. April
of 2022, there were 237. May, 226. June, before people realized what you were doing, it was 201. When they realized you had taken information away from them, in July of 2022, there were only 24 views, 83 in August, and 64 in September. So I don't think those people were trying to view just to see themselves on TV because they weren't here. There weren't 241 people here to see themselves, 150, 237. So I think this just goes to show that there are people that are interested in what goes on in the town and that they do go to this to view what is going on. But right now, the schedule for the town board meetings is still January of 2022. What is that about? It's just the people can't know what's going on, seems to be the bottom line. And I just wanted to ask Mary Kate Mullen, you're on the ballot for judgeship. I stated that the day that you started here, you were only here till a spot opened up that the conservatives can throw you into for a judge. You're running for a judge in November unopposed. So you took us taxpayers for a free ride, a no-show job, you got benefits, and now you'll just be on your merry way and take a job as a judge. But nobody's supposed to know because there's not one ad or advertisement or campaign for you. To me, that's just amazing.
Next speaker, Greg.
Yes, I'd like to address the board, and especially you, Angie. I think it's great that you're putting it back on Islip Television Channel 18. But the thing I don't understand is that there's a legal term called doxing. And when you doxing is when you know or have knowledge that someone was threatened at this podium or harassed or followed home. And that was stated by even your Commissioner of Public Safety, that this woman was followed home. Yet, and it was also publicized in 2 tabloids, the Islip Bulletin wrote that up, that you were protecting the identity of the speakers speaking here. That's the reason why you censored since June, okay? But if you knew someone was threatened and followed home, why would you then allow people to give their names in full and addresses, okay? Even the Olga Murray also stated that at a couple of sessions or board meetings after the June meeting when this person was harassed here. So I think that not only should you put back the televised portions of the public, you should go back to June and show every single one from June on what's going on here, because we were lied to. This is a blatant lie. And if you're doxing people, or if you have knowledge of someone being threatened, and then you have people coming up here and demanding their names and addresses, I told you that the Committee on Open Government stated, we do not have to divulge name. You can call us up here in a numbered sequence, just like your cards are numbered. You call speaker number 1 through, say, 10 or 20, whoever wants to speak at this podium, not to divulge their identities if you had knowledge that someone was threatened at the podium. So I would think very carefully about the legalities that you've started here. You're the only township in Suffolk County, I checked, from the East End, from South Hole to East Hampton, all the way west to our western borders on the Nassau line, Huntington and Babylon. They all televise the public portions in their full, except Islip. So you set this precedence. You doxied the residents by putting us in danger if it's true what you're saying about someone getting threatened, okay? So I think it's something that is It's setting a precedence, but it's setting a precedence in the wrong direction. I mean, this is censorship. This is something you would expect from a dictatorship, really, not to let the public speak out. We have big issues coming up. We have the East Islip lanes that you want to make into or they want to make into a benchmark assisted living in a residential area. These people want to be heard. These issues have to be brought out. Okay, you can't be censoring the public from speaking out on these issues, and we only get to see Angie and crew on Channel 18. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. And let's not confuse the public portion with the public hearings. Mr. Pepe referenced a project that is going to be coming up, I believe, we haven't gotten it yet, for an assisted living project in East Islip. There are required public hearings, and people will have ample opportunity to come and speak on those given issues. Last speaker, Debbie Kavanaugh.
Good evening, Debbie Kavanaugh, Central Islip, representing the Central Islip Coalition of Good Neighbors. No problem. In 2003 and 2004, Central Islip, along with Mike Pintillo and several other developers, and the Central Islip community, and a lot of the HOMAs at the time that were in Central Islip and some Central Islip organization, got together and developed a 2005 adopted master plan. Inside the master plan, it states the setbacks for the New York Tech area. It states the type of trees. It states that all new construction are supposed to be Georgian buildings. It states what type of trees are supposed to be planted. Mr. Pintillo, who has served on that committee, is the only developer who's still coming into Central Islip and is ignoring the master plan. Doesn't want to follow the setback. He wants a setback relaxation. And if you give them the setback relaxation, Target, from what I understand, the company that owns the pond in front of that shopping center, wants to fill in that pond and put up another building so they can make some money on it because the pond doesn't give them any cash flow. And that's going to change the whole dynamic and the look of Carlton Avenue in that section. I know I spoke with Ella, the planning board commissioner, and she said it's either this, they would either consider doing the setback or, because it's just the corner, or he might have to take down a building. So I did some further research this weekend. I went to the supermarket, the sister store in Bayshore, and I went looking at it. I was appalled when I walked into the store. It is not a normal supermarket. It is a store that has broken cement floors, pallet food sitting on the floor, no aisles, no shelves. You have to tear apart the pallet in order to bring out your food. We are spending so much money to redevelop Central Islip and to put in a supermarket that claims to be a supermarket, which is really a dirty, filthy warehouse, and how it has their food is appalling, especially that you're putting in upgrade apartments. Why would anybody want to shop in a filthy supermarket? And I wouldn't even call it a supermarket. It's more like a warehouse because that's the way it's set up in Bayshore. This board has a responsibility to the committee and the Central Islip community to honor the master plan. And Mr. Pontillo, from day one, has not followed the master plan. He was supposed to build all homeowner-occupied houses, came back to the town board under Phil Nolan, and asked for 100 rental units instead of all of it being homeowner-occupied. Phil Nolan granted it under the condition that he was to do rental housing unit, which he failed to do.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it with the public portion. Do I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor, opposed, the public portion is closed. We will now move to the agenda. Okay, item one, the first item is the meeting of the Town of Islip Industrial Development Agency. I'll call on a motion for this board to convene. We have a motion by Councilwoman Mullen, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor, opposed, the board is convened, a quorum being present. Mr. Walzer.
Thank you, Madam. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the Agency Board. John Walzer, Executive Director, 40 Nassau Avenue, Islip. I have several items for your consideration today. The first item is to approve the minutes from our last board meeting on September 13th of this year.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilman Mullin, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor or opposed, the minutes are approved.
Thank you. The next item for your consideration is a resolution to approve the 2023 agency budget.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Mullin, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor, opposed, approved.
Thank you. The next item is a resolution to authorize financing for Bryad Lodging Group at 7 Courthouse Drive in Central Islip.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor, opposed, approved.
Thank you. The next item is also a resolution to authorize financing for Bryad Lodging Group at 11 Courthouse Drive in Central Islip.
Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor, opposed, approved.
Thank you. The next item for your consideration is a resolution to authorize financing for Universal Photonics at 85 Jetson Lane in Central Islip.
Questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second
Second.
by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor, opposed, approved.
Thank you. And the last item I have for your consideration is an authorizing resolution for a project induced at the August meeting between the agency and Vets Holbrook LLC. This is a 108,000 square foot industrial warehouse project on the northeast corner of Vets Highway and Grundy Avenue in Holbrook.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second
Second.
by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor, opposed, approved.
That's all I have for you.
Okay.
Agency.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor, opposed. The IDA meeting stands adjourned. We will now move to item 2, meeting of the Town of Islip Economic Development Corporation. I call for a motion to convene. Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor, opposed. We are convened, a quorum being present. John.
Thank you. Madam Chair and members of the Corporation Board, John Walzer, Executive Director, 40 Nassau Avenue, Islip. I have just a couple of items for your consideration today. The first item is to approve the minutes from our last board meeting on April 6th of this year.
Any question on the minutes? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, approved.
And the last item I have for your consideration is a resolution to approve the 2023 corporation budget.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
By Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. And I believe that's all the business to come before us. Motion to adjourn, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned, and we move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Town of Islip, meeting of the Town of Islip Resource Recovery Agency. Motion to convene by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? We are convened, a quorum being present. Commissioner Ballew.
Madam Chair, members of the Agency Board, Martin Ballew, President of the Islip Resource Recovery Agency, 401 Main Street, Islip, New York. I have several items for consideration today. First one being the approval of the minutes for the September 13th, 2022 Agency Board.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Next item is a resolution authorizing the adoption of the recommended budget of the Islip Resource Recovery Agency for the fiscal year 2023.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Next item is a resolution authorizing the president to appoint the secretary of the Islip Resource Recovery Agency.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullen, second
Second.
by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Next item is a resolution authorizing the president to enter into an intermunicipal agreement, an IMA, between the Islip Resource Recovery Agency and the town of Smithtown for delivery of commingled recyclable material at the town of Islip multi-purpose recycling facility.
Any questions?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
And the last item is a resolution authorizing the president to enter into a contract extension with Lockwood, Kessler, and Bartlett, Inc., LKB, for quarterly landfill gas monitoring, reporting, and evaluation at the Blydenburg Road Landfill Complex, Cleanfield Landfill Phase 1 and 2 for the years 2023 and 2024.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second.
Second.
By Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
That concludes.
No other business? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All in favor or opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much, Marty. Okay, item 4, authorization for the supervisor to enter into a license agreement for one parcel of town-owned bay bottom land for the purpose of shellfish cultivation in the Great South Bay. Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? We have one recusal. The motion carries. Item 5, authorization for the supervisor to amend a license agreement with the Open Water Enterprises to modify the parcel of town-owned bottom land, bay land for the purpose of shellfish cultivation in the Great South Bay. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second.
Second.
By Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? One recusal. Motion carries. Item 6 are the cleanups and the board ups. And here you are.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, members of the Town Board, Town Clerk, Aaron Jewell, Town Attorney, 55 Main Street, Islip. Number 1 has been withdrawn as it is now in compliance. Number 2, to board and clean up the premises located at 35 Bushwick Avenue, Brentwood. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists 3 unsecured sheds, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premise.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
Number 3 has been withdrawn as it is now in compliance. Number 4, to board and clean up the premises located at 75 Fairview Avenue, Islip Terrace. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists an unsecured accessory structure and overgrown vegetation, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premise.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullen, second.
Second.
By Councilwoman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 5, to board and clean up the premises located at 78 Cedar Drive, Bayshore. On this property, there now exists overgrown vegetation and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premise.
Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 6, to board and clean up the premises located at 153 Noble Street, Brentwood. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, an unregistered vehicle, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premise.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 7 has been withdrawn as it is now in compliance. Number 8, to demolish the main structure located at 263 Blue Point Road, West, Holtzville. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists an unsafe structure, which is in imminent danger of collapse due to structural failure, disrepair, and neglect. The structure has been determined to be in imminent danger of collapse by our senior building inspector. The structure constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premise.
Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second. By Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 9, to board and clean up the premises located at 428 Fir Grove Road, Ronkonkoma. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors with overgrown vegetation and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premise.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullen, second.
Second.
By Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 10 has been withdrawn. Number 11, to demolish the main structure located at 969 Manor Lane, Bayshore. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists an unsafe structure, which is in immediate danger of collapse due to structural failure, disrepair, and neglect. The structure has been determined to be in imminent danger of collapse by our senior building inspector. The structure constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premise.
Thank you for all the work that's been done on this. This has really been a subject of a lot of angst. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran. I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
And number 12, to board and clean up the premises located at 1317 Chicago Avenue, Bayshore. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists an unsecured windows and doors, unsecured shed, unregistered trailers with overgrown vegetation and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premise.
Any questions?
Yes.
Certainly.
I see a container located in the premises. Is there a way that we can,
That's part of the cleanup.
they are cleaning up the property and putting anything that's not wanted in that?
So from my understanding, there's no permit for the container, so that would actually be part of the cleanup, and that would be removed when everything else is removed.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will move then to item 7, meeting of the Town of Islip Foreign Trade Zone. I'd call upon a meeting. Yes, I know, Brad. But we're going to first have a motion to convene. Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor, opposed, we are convened, and a quorum is present. You may proceed. Thank you.
Madam Chair, and members of the FTZ Board. My name is Brad Hemingway. I'm the Executive Director for the Town of Islip Foreign Trade Zone Authority, located at 1 Trade Zone Drive in Ronkonkoma. I have 2 items for your consideration today. First item being approval of our minutes from the April 5th, 2022 meeting of the Town of Islip Foreign Trade Zone Board.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor, opposed, approved.
Thank you. Next item is adoption of the Town of Islip Foreign Trade Zone Authority budget.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second
Second.
by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor, opposed, approved. And I do believe that's it as far as the business to come before us. Motion to adjourn by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much. We will move then to item 8 on the agenda, authorization for supervisor to execute a subrecipient agreement with the Community Development Agency whereby the town will receive grant funding for the purchase of lighting fixtures. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second
Second.
by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 9 are the appropriation transfers. Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 10, Town Board approval to amend the 2023 preliminary operating budget. Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Mullen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 11 are the bid awards. Are there any questions? Motion
Motion.
by Councilwoman Mullen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. we will go to 12. Item 12 are the option year resolutions. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 13, authorization for the supervisor to accept New York State aid pass-through funds from the Suffolk County for the Youth Development Delinquency Prevention Programs. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 14 is the reappointment of 5 individuals to serve without compensation on the Advisory Commission Board pursuant to Islip Town Code, Chapter 61, entitled Vehicle Uses, Fire Island, Section 61-3B. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? By Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 15 is an authorization with the supervisor to execute any and all documents in order to effectuate the assumption of an existing note and mortgage held by the town in connection with 19 Cortlandt Place in Bay Shore. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. 16 is an authorization for the supervisor to sign any and all documents required to effectuate the sublease for the installation and maintenance of the telecommunications facilities located at 1500 Captree Island in Bay Shore. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 17, authorization for supervisor to consent to an assignment of the license agreement with Global Health Developers and Management, Inc. for the town-owned parking facility located at 0 Washington Avenue, Brentwood, to Gengio Properties, LLC. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second
Second.
by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 18, authorization for the supervisor to execute an agreement granting the Long Island Railroad permanent exclusive easements on surrounding areas east of Higbee Lane, West Islip, for the placement of signal huts on each of the easement areas. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 19, authorization for supervisor to declare surplus and enter into a contract of sale with Global Chem LLC for Bessemer Drive to merge the town parcel with the adjacent parcel located at 54 Drexel Drive, Bay Shore. Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 20, authorization for supervisor to enter into a non-exclusive license agreement granting the Carlton Avenue LLC access to the site located at 1 Carlton Avenue to conduct non-invasive due diligence investigation. Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 21, authorization for the supervisor to execute a professional services agreement with L.K. McLean Associates, P.C. for professional architectural engineering services for Phase 1 design of a new town hall annex building. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second
Second.
by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 22, authorization for the supervisor to enter into a contract with Chesterfield Associates, Inc. for DPW 2-2022 bulkhead and weir reconstruction. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilwoman Mullen, second by Councilwoman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 23, authorization for the supervisor to enter into a renewal contract with Hink Electric Contractor for the second and final one-year extension for DPW 1-2019 maintenance and modernization of traffic signals. Are any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. It takes us to item 24, authorization for the supervisor to enter into a renewal contract with Park Line Asphalt Maintenance, Inc. for the second and final one-year extension for DPW 5-2019, furnish and install seal coat on various town parking lots. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 25, authorization for supervisor to enter into a contract with Best Climate Control Corp. for DPW 6-2019 burner/boiler repair and service contract. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 26, authorization for the supervisor to enter into various agreements for recreation programs to be held throughout the town of Islip, which will be funded by registration fees. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 27, authorization for supervisor to execute a professional services agreement with L.K. McLean Associates for engineering services for the repair, long overdue repair of the West Islip Marina. Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 28, special events. They're back in full swing. Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardon. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 29, authorization for the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary for the awarding of the contract with Austin Interiors, Inc. for general contracting services in connection with the main terminal building, the MEP upgrades at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 30, authorization for the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary for the awarding of the contract with WHM Plumbing and Heating Contractors, Inc. for the Hangar 1 fire sprinkler upgrade at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 31, Town Board approval to increase the duplicate tax bill fee due to increasing costs to produce a tax bill. And this is not for homeowners, for property owners, rather. Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 32, Town Board approval to deposit and secure all monies in J.P. Morgan Chase, Valley National Bank, and HSBC received by the receiver of taxes for the 2022-23 tax year in interest. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 33, Town Board approval to extend the deadline for senior citizens to pay the 2022-2023 real property taxes on their principal residence without interest or penalty to, on, or before June 7th, 2023. It's extending it about a week. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 34, authorization for the supervisor to execute an agreement with J.P. Morgan Chase for the payment of courier services provided by Rapid Armor Corporation to the Town of Islip tax receiver. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Authorization for the supervisor to execute any and all documents to effectuate the assumption of an existing note and mortgage held by the town in connection with the property located at 10 Cortlandt Place, Bayshore. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 36, authorization for the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Maltz Auctions for storage and auction services for town-owned excess personal property, vehicles, equipment, and/or abandoned and seized vehicles. Any question? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 37, authorization for the supervisor to execute a memorandum of understanding with Good Samaritan Hospital for the purposes of participating in the 340B program, which I think allows for reduced prescription medication. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved, and we stand adjourned. I believe motion to adjourn by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guadron. All those in favor or opposed, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.